All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the third part of the show, we are going to now get into talking about the big matchup on Sunday Night Football between the Dallas Cowboys and the Pittsburgh Steelers. So the Cowboys coming in at 2-2 on the season. Steelers, they dropped their first game of the year, losing a close one to the Indianapolis Colts, 27-24. However, in that game though, Justin Fields looked pretty good. Had two rushing touchdowns, passed for over 300 yards, was making some good throws to George Pickens. Seems like they're slowly but surely opening up this offense for Justin Fields. And the Steelers really didn't run the ball that well in the game against the Colts. So, and that's a big part of their offense. So, we'll see what happens this week. But they might be down a couple of running backs. Jaylen Warren has still not practiced, and also Cordero Patterson as well. So it's going to be Najee Harris, taking the workload, pretty much all the workload. So, but yeah, there were things to like in that Steelers loss. Although I was a little bit surprised on how the defense just did not play well. Because the defense has really been what's been the engine of the team so far this year. I mean, Fields has played well, but the defense is, I think, the main reason why they've gotten off to a good start. But here against the Cowboys, it's going to be an interesting game. And, the picture that I have up here, this is from 2016. And that is the last time that that Dak Prescott played against the Steelers. That's the one and only time he played against the Steelers, because if you remember, the Steelers and the Cowboys did play each other during the COVID season, but Dak Prescott, of course, got hurt with that horrific ankle injury. So, yeah, this is going to be the first time he's played the Steelers in a while. And the game in 2016, that was a classic. That was the second to last year with the Killer Bees, Ben Roethlisberger, Antonio Brown, and Le'Veon Bell. Ezekiel Elliott had a huge game. I think what did he have, like 3 touchdowns in that game? 3 or 4 touchdowns? I might be wrong, but I think he had 3. Got to go back and look at the box score from that game. But, it's going to be a different kind of game. There's no Dez Bryant. There's no Ben Roethlisberger. There is Ezekiel Elliott, but he is a older player. There's no Antonio Brown. There's no Le'Veon Bell. But I think this is going to be an entertaining game. Yeah, so the final score was 35-20. Dak Prescott passed for over 319 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Yeah, Ezekiel Elliott had 3 touchdowns in this game. He had 2 rushing and 1 receiving. One of them was on a screen pass that he took to the house. Dez Bryant had a good game, 6 receptions for 116 yards and a touchdown. And then for the Steelers, Ben Roethlisberger, over 400 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Le'Veon Bell only had 57 yards on the ground and a rushing touchdown, but he did have 77 yards receiving and a touchdown. And Antonio Brown, 14 receptions for 154 yards and a touchdown. So, yeah, that was the last time that these two teams met in Pittsburgh. So, yeah, it's going to be different. Probably going to be lower scoring. Zeke is not scoring 3 touchdowns in this game. I can tell you that right now. The Steelers are 2.5-point favorites. Dak Prescott has gotten off to a good start, numbers-wise. Over 1,000 yards, 6 touchdowns to 2 picks. Justin Fields, 3 touchdowns to 1 pick. And has a couple of rushing touchdowns here. Actually, no, I think he's got a few, because I think he scored one against the Chargers. But, he has 3 rushing touchdowns on the year. And, the Steelers, I'm, curious to see if their defense is going to, step up again. Because, like I said, last week against the Colts was not good. I was a little surprised by their performance. In terms of how the teams are looking coming in, where's the injury report here? So, for the Steelers, they actually lost one of their guards, James Daniels, for the season. He's an Achilles injury. He's out. They already got Troy Fontenot, one of their draft choices. He's on injured reserve. Another offensive lineman, Nate Herbig, he's on injured reserve. So yeah, they're down some guys. They're down some guys here. Of course, Alex Highsmith is out at least for another week. So Cole Holcomb was on the PUP list. It's possible he could be back this week. At least I'm looking here. That would be a huge boost for the defense because he was a good player for them. But yeah, Jaylen Warren still hasn't practiced. So yeah, it's going to be on Najee Harris, to really get it done in the running game. And then for the Cowboys, yeah, most likely they're not going to have. Well, Demarcus Lawrence, he got placed on injured reserve, so they're going to be down him. Micah Parsons didn't practice. He's doubtful for the game against Pittsburgh. So this Cowboys defense has already not been playing well this year, and now they're going to be down their top two players on defense. So that's not good going into this game. So, and then in terms of the league rankings for these squads, so Cowboys, they're 5th in passing yards per game. The Steelers are 20th. Rushing yards per game, the Cowboys are dead last, averaging 75.3 rushing yards per game. The Steelers are averaging 128.5. The Cowboys are 12th in points per game, and the Steelers are 23rd. Then on the defensive side of the ball, Steelers defense is 12th against the pass. Cowboys are 17th. Steelers are 3rd against the run, and the Cowboys can't run the ball, so they're going to be throwing it a bunch of times. The Cowboys, they're giving up an average of 145.8 rushing yards per game. And the Steelers, they're 2nd in points allowed, and the Cowboys' defense is 27th. So, this screams, Steelers, this game. And I'm going to pick the Steelers in this game. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game, or on the lower scoring side. But I think, we'll see what happens if Jaylen Warren does end up practicing. Because, if you end up having him, well, you're just going to run him and Najee Harris down that Cowboys defense all night long. And then, Fields could also take off and run with it if he has to as well. So I give the advantage to the Steelers in this matchup. That's not to say the Cowboys can't win this game, but the Cowboys are kind of limited. Their defense is not playing well, but also offensively, they can't run the football. And, they're going to be without Brandon Cooks as well in this game. So who's going to be that other receiver that steps up besides CeeDee Lamb? Because we know CeeDee Lamb is going to have a good game. But who else is going to step up? I know Jacob Ferguson's a good tight end, but of that wide receiver room, who is going to step up? I don't know. And, the Cowboys' offensive line, this is not, you see Tyron Smith in this picture. He's not there. There's no more Doug Free. There's no more Travis Frederick. The only one from that offensive line now is Zach Martin. So, Cowboys' offensive line, I think, is kind of, middle of the pack right now. But, yeah, it's just that this offense is limited. And, you see what Tony Pollard did on Monday Night Football. Why did the Cowboys not bring him back? I know he wasn't as good as he was in 2022, but, you still kind of needed him. You got Rico Dowdle, Zeke, and Deuce Vaughn, and they still have not elevated Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook at some point, you at least got to give him a chance. I think he's better than Zeke right now. I mean, you got to give him a shot. I mean, it's looking like it was kind of pointless bringing him in, but that's just me. So, but yeah, I think the Steelers pass rush is going to get to Dak Prescott. It's not going to be like the Giants where they just could not get to him. I think the Steelers are going to get after him. And I think the Steelers are going to run the football effectively in this game. And Fields, I anticipate, is going to, do what he's supposed to do. If this game is a shootout, then Fields is going to have to throw the ball more. But this is a different Cowboys team. Like, this 2016 team, it was a very good team. This iteration of the Cowboys is not the same. They don't have the running game. They really only have one wide receiver that you could trust right now. And the defense is not very good. It's not very good. They've taken even more of a step back with Mike Zimmer as the defensive coordinator. But you're down two of your best players. You're already down without Deron Bland. But now you're down Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence. So where is the pass rush coming for this game? The Cowboys kind of got the odds stacked against them here. But again, could they still win? Yeah. But I don't think that's going to be the case here. But I'm going to say the Steelers win, say 21-17. I think we'll it's around the same score as the Thursday night game last week. That was 20-15, 21-17 final score. So we'll see how it goes. But these are two teams that have won a lot of championships over the course of their history. They've matched up in Super Bowls before. And, this might not be the most enticing matchup that these two teams are about to have. But, like I said, the 2016 matchup here was good. There was a highlight that they showed of Ben Roethlisberger when he had that pump fake in Dallas. Faked the camera guy out and was able to throw a touchdown pass to Heath Miller. If you guys know what I'm talking about in that game, that was in 2012. But yeah, obviously the Super Bowls, that's way before my time. That's when my parents were young, so I don't remember those games, but I do remember that game that I just brought up. This game here, I was looking at colleges during this game. That's how long ago that was. But, and then obviously the COVID season. The start of that game was Garrett Gilbert. And the Steelers actually almost lost that game. But yeah, Garrett Gilbert was the starter. And, we'll see what happens in this matchup. But I anticipate the Steelers win and improve to 4-1 on the season, and the Cowboys are going to drop to 2-3. And yeah, it just doesn't look good right now for Dallas. Dallas just is not. They're another team. I mean, I talked about the Texans not impressing me. The Texans are 3-1. Cowboys are 2-2, but they could very easily be 1-3. Their only convincing win was against the Browns. And look at how the Browns are right now. So, I don't know. That's just me. But let me know what you guys think about this game. Who do you have winning? Let me know in the comments of any thoughts you have on this matchup. So we are going to take our next break. When we come back, we'll preview the game in London between the Vikings and the Jets. And, it's a big game. This is a big game coming up for the Jets. Aaron Rodgers facing off against a former NFC North opponent. So we'll get into that when we return from our next break. So with that being said, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.